Welcome to the channel. It's Almighty Dan and I'm back again, and today we got the EA College Football 25 Dynasty Deep Dive. Now, y'all be sure to show some love, like the video, subscribe to the channel if you're new, because when this game drop, I will be playing it, I will be grinding it out, and I will be helping y'all out and showing y'all some things as well. So don't y'all worry, ain't no need to fear. Almighty is here, you know what I'm saying? But to be real with y'all, this Dynasty Deep Dive is something that a lot of us gamers, a lot of us sports gamers really needed, because it's something that I feel like has been lacking, that only college football can give to us. The level of customization, the level of building up a team, starting out from assistant coaches to want to be a head coach, to want to be a program builder, a CEO, all that detail and information of how you can progress your team in a dynasty is in here. There are new abilities, there are new traits, you know, a lot of things that we about to break down, and we're gonna go ahead and get into that right now, man. So let's get started. So the first thing you want to realize, the road to dynasty, the major point of road to dynasty is actually building the dynasty. And we got three main experiences that they want to build around that you can experience the game with. Build your coach, build your program, and deliver the world of college football. Build your coach. This encompasses the decisions you make on your coaching journey to the top of the college football world. Whether that's starting as a small coordinator at a small school and making a name for yourself before getting that first head coaching job, or starting as a head coach at your dream school, every decision you make on your journey matters. Now, pretty much you can start from a small school and grind your way up to the top, or you could just go to Georgia, Alabama, you know, Oregon, USC, Ohio State, Texas, one of the big powerhouses of school, and grind from there. It depends on your style completely, how you want to go about that. Me personally, you know, I think I might have me a Georgia team, but I also think I might go to Colorado, you know, and go down there with Deion and try to build them up, maybe win them a national championship. I think that'd be cool, but that's just preference. Build your program. As the old saying goes, to win in college football, it's not just X's and O's, it's the Jimmys and Joes. Recruiting is the lifeblood of college football, and having a consistent winner means you need a roster that is built to reload rather than rebuild. That all starts on the high school recruiting trail, but in modern college football, roster retention and utilizing the transfer portal are instrumental in your ability to field a championship team. So that focuses on building your program, obviously recruiting players from high school, and there's a lot of emphasis on using the transfer portal this year, as it is in real life, and retaining your players. You need to be able to retain your players as well, because if not, they will dip on you. Deliver the world of college football. A lot has changed in college football over the last year, let alone the last 11 years. From the new 12-team college football playoff to the conference realignment, we set out to recreate ever-changing world of college football within Dynasty and provide you with the tools to customize your experience. You can customize your conferences, your playoff format, the whole experience of Dynasty you will be able to customize. Okay, let's see. Underlying the three core pillars was one singular model: satisfy the core community, because this is their game. So that's good to know that EA, at least for college football, is looking to please the community and listen to the feedback that we've been providing to them to give us a game that we want to experience in college football, because this is a big deal since we haven't had a college football since NCAA 14. Build your coach. This would be your opportunity to create the coach and play style in the program that you want to build up to, and create the dynasty that you want to create. Now, the main focus of this is, you know, you're going to have a coach, but you're not going to be able to be great at every single thing, at least off rip. Now, you can build your way up and specialize, but there's three different archetypes, which we'll get into, and I'll show y'all that just shortly. This next leads us to coach progression. Progressing your coach starts with playing games. As you play, you will compete. Coach goals that award XP. Once you earn enough XP, you will level up your coach to a maximum of level 50 and be awarded coach points. Coach points can be used to upgrade your coach abilities. More on that later on. There are 4 coach XP goals categories that can be single game, weekly, season, or career goals. Draft. Pro draft goals based on which round your player is drafted in. For example, player drafted in the first round will give you some coach XP. Game. Individual game goals that range from single play like interceptions, rushing touchdowns. That'll give you XP. Recruiting. Determined by your success of recruiting trail. Recruiting goals can be specific to a single prospect. For example, if you sign a 5-star prospect, that can give you some XP. Stats. Weekly goals like being ranked in the top 10. Season stat goals for 4,000 team passing yards and ranked top 5 in offensive yards. That can give you some coach progression XP. The number of times you completed a goal and your progress toward goal completion can be viewed in the coach XP goal screen, which can be accessed via the coach tab in Dynasty Hub. We have also added 5 progression speed settings so you can modify how fast coaches progress in your dynasty. So if you feel like it's going too slow, you can actually have the ability to actually update how quick that your coach can level up. So that's good if you feel like it's going too slow, or you're not getting fast enough. And That will actually streamline. So if you want to create more than one dynasty, you don't feel like you're just being too stagnated in one of your teams. You can kind of progress faster through the dynasty if you choose to do so. That's up to you. You feel me? Each time you complete a goal in game, you'll receive a notification in the top left corner of the screen. The notification will describe the goal completed and the XP reward. So that's kind of similar to some of the things we've seen in Madden. After completing a game or events in the week, you'll receive an XP summary screen showing your progression to the next level. Now, up next, we have the coach archetypes. This is what the main focus, that I think one of the coolest things that we have thus far in this game, and one that you really need to pay attention to, because this will benefit how your team progresses and moves forward in the abilities that you may have on the field when you're calling plays, in the recruiting aspect, and developing your players, because there's 3 key main archetypes. Right here, you will see our system is no different. All coaches will start with the base, class, or coach archetype, which can be thought of as your special ability in a traditional RPG. Just like our real life coaches, the base archetypes fall into 3 categories: recruiting, motivation, and scheme. From your base archetype, you can progress in multiple ways. You can become an expert in a single category like recruiting, where you become an elite recruiter and excel in the recruiting trail. Alternatively, you can become a hybrid coach who is strong in multiple areas. For example, a talent developer who is great at both talent acquisition, recruiting, and player development. Motivation: the ultimate goal is to become a program builder or CEO atop the world of college football. Achieving an elite archetype like program building or CEO is a combination of on-field success and ability progression. There is no single formula to reach these statuses. You'll be able to mix and match different ability combinations of progression paths, leading to strong customization. In total, there are 11 different archetypes, each with their own focuses and perks. Together, they will form a rock, paper, scissors relationship where there's no dominant archetype. While there is no doubt that talent acquisition is the most important thing in college football, but solely focusing on recruiting could leave you vulnerable in other areas. Remember, no coach can be great at everything. Every decision you make on your coaching journey matters. Once you purchase an ability, there's no going back, as you will not be able to respec your coach. So that's important. You cannot respec your coach. So whenever you select something, make sure that's what you want, because you're going to be locked into that. Now, I did say there were 3 archetypes earlier, but there's 3 backstories. My bad. 3 backstories, 11 archetypes. So those backstories can help you lead into certain archetypes. So key thing right there. 11 different archetypes, 3 backstories. How do I upgrade my archetype, and what does it do? Purchasing an archetype with coach points unlocks a new set of abilities, as well as new opportunities in the coaching carousel. More on that later on. And the coaching carousel will be the abilities you'll get to look and you'll get to pick through and see what kind of abilities you want. And remember, you cannot respec, so keep that in mind when you choosing your abilities. Your active archetype is automatically determined. If you own the program builder or CEO archetypes, they will always be your active archetype, regardless of how many coach points you spend on the archetypes. If you do not own these archetypes, your active archetype is the archetype you have spent the most coach points in. All owned coach abilities are always on, regardless of which archetype is currently active. Your progress can be viewed in the coach's ability screen, which is accessible from the coach tab of the Dynasty Hub. Within the screen, you can see all of the available archetypes, their unlock requirements and perks, and your overall progression in each archetype. As you spend coach points in each archetype, the spider graph in the center of the screen will morph and change to show your coach's DNA. So this is the spider graph. This is your carousel, and you'll be able to see how, what you're leaning toward, which archetypes you're leaning toward, and this is the coach abilities chart right here, as you can see. And as you spend more points, you can kind of see your DNA, like what it's leaning toward, which archetype you're leaning towards here, and that kind of points you to that direction. Like that's the type of coach you're building. So it's almost like you're building a coach, man. It's like you have your own customizable coach. I think that's a very cool feature to have, to something to focus on this game, is being able to focus on the coaching aspect like this is actually really, really fire. So that's a W. That's a big W for me. How do the abilities work? Once you own an archetype, you can purchase the abilities within it using coach points. In College Football 25, we are introducing more than 50 coach abilities. Each ability can have up to 4 tiers, and every tier has a purchase cost associated with it. Every archetype, with the exception of Scheme Guru, Program Builder, and CEO, has their abilities broken down by position group. This increases the level of depth and specialization each coach has. No longer is a great coach recruiting across the board. Now coaches will specialize in a specific position groups, making your staff composition that more important. So you need to be sure you have a good staff on deck. All right, so let's get down to here some of these tiers so we can understand how some of this works. In addition to position-based boosts. There are also coach abilities with core gameplay effects, so you can really cook. For example, the scheme guru archetype focuses on the gameplay style. If you're a coach who likes to play fast, you can upgrade fast tempo offense, providing you with the following boosts, right? For example, fast tempo offense, tier 1, offensive players fatigue slower and hurry up. Tier 2, increase delay to defenders looking to sideline at the snap. Tier 3, team composure boasts for first down gains while running hurry up. Tier 4, chances to the defensive coverage shell and hurry up. So this will give you on-field advantages if you choose this archetype. So you need to be very, very wise when you determine these coach archetypes, because you get different advantages in certain aspects, whether it's player development, like I was saying, attribute-wise, making your players better, or tactical, play calling type of offensive style schemes, rather. Schemes are what I'm looking for. Your scheme could also help you on the field, depending on your coaching style, man. Like I said, if you want to go fast tempo, you'll have advantages for being that type of a coach. You'll have advantages for being a really good recruiter. You'll have advantages for being a really good motivator. So be careful. Always think about what you want to do, how you want to build your coach, because that will affect your play style. And of course, like any other game, some of these abilities are going to be a lot better than others, especially when you get in the game and you see how they actually work. So me personally, I'm going to lean towards abilities that are going to actually impact my play on the field, because I like to have those type of abilities in EA football games. I've seen how the field abilities work in Madden, so I may have something in college football that's good. I have no worries or no doubt that I'll be able to build my team up. But if I can get an advantage when it comes to actually playing the game, I'm gonna take that every time. You know what I'm saying? Let's get it. You can also see here, you can also make your team a well-oiled machine who doesn't work against themselves and is unfazed by a rowdy home field crowds by upgrading the discipline communication ability. On offense, this provides slight reduction in crowd noise on impact on the road, tier 1. Tier 2, significant reduction of crowd noise impact on the road. Tier 3, offensive players will commit slightly fewer penalties. Tier 4, offensive players will commit significantly fewer penalties. So that's absolutely beneficial right there, especially like if you go on the road and your team is actually committing a noticeable amount of penalties. If the game is, that's a, algorithm programming thing with the penalties, because some of that stuff you can't control, which we're gonna see how that goes, but hopefully it's not too crazy, especially when we go online Dynasty, because you don't want to be losing games because of penalties, because of stuff like that. But it does happen, so it would add a sense of realism in it. Hopefully it's just not a lot of game changing, game altering as far as the results go penalties. So what about the coordinators? So the coordinators, if you're the head coach, you can start off as a coordinator, you can start off as a head coach. But if you start off as a head coach, the coordinators, they will still level up, but you won't be able to choose what they are or choose how they progress. But you can choose the style of coordinators that you do want to have. You know what I mean? So it's important to choose coordinators that you fit your style, fit your offense, fit the program that you want to build. You know what I mean? Simple as that. Climbing the coaching ladder. Every time you start a new coaching job, you'll be asked to sign a contract with that school. The contract will have a set contract length and performance expectations, just like in real life. Failure to meet those expectations will result in bad things happening. You could be on a hot seat, you could be fired, which will mean you'll need to find a new job, find a new school to work at. There we go. Simple as that. You know what I'm saying? Coach carousel. Now this is one of the more interesting things, like I said, for the abilities. In college football 25, we set out to recreate the chaos that is happening in college football coaching carousel, along with the domino effects that it brings. Now, instead of it happening over a single week, the coaching carousel takes place over the course of 5 weeks, from conference championship week to the end of the bowl season, like in the real world. Additionally, the carousel is now a synchronous experience where each user can evaluate their offers without the need to wait on someone else. Very realistic. That way in your multi-user online Dynasty, the entire carousel experience won't be held up because you're sitting around waiting for your friend to get on and evaluate their job offer, only for them to tell you that they want to stay at their current job. Okay, that's good to know. How does the carousel work? So once you advance the week and arrive in bowl season, the first round of job offers go out. If you received any job offers, you will be notified via an action titled View Job Offers. If you do not receive any offers, you will have a generic action item titled Coach Carousel. Pressing the action item will take you to the Coach Carousel screen where you can view any job offers you have, as well as all of the open jobs around the country. Just because you didn't receive any offers in the first week of the bowl season, or if you didn't like the offers you received, doesn't mean your carousel experience is over. Remember, the Coach Carousel takes place over the course of multiple weeks. The first week of bowl season is just the beginning. As schools hire and post coaches from other schools, their previous jobs will become available as an unexpected opening, and the schools will look to hire a replacement the following week. So The coaching carousel pretty much is just pretty much coaches changing jobs, going to one school. If a coach leaves this school, you can maybe have the opportunity to go to that school, and it's over a period of weeks, so you have time to get a job. You have time to find a new school to work at, or if you're a big shot, I'm pretty sure it won't take you that long. You know what I'm saying? If you really got it like that, if you really got a good program over there like y'all supposed to have, like y'all should have, like I'm going to have, then you should be okay. You know what I'm saying? That's all I'm saying. All right. How do schools determine who they want to hire? It looks like there's five key points: the level, the high coach level, the powerful they are, the abilities they have, the scheme. Certain schemes of offense and defense you want, the archetypes. Some schools have a preference on the type they're looking for. Obviously, pipeline. All coaches have a primary pipeline, which boosts in recruiting. This is meant to simulate an area of the country where they have strong ties and relationships in recruiting. So, if you're from Florida and you can go to be a coach in Florida and you got strong ties to Florida players, in the community, that might be a better fit for you. You know what I'm saying? Coach prestige. A coach prestige is compared against the school's prestige. A 5-star program is not going to hire a coach who is mid and only a C- coach prestige. Of course, you're not going to have Alabama hiring a coach from a much, much smaller school. You know what I'm saying? That just doesn't happen. You need to have a solid resume. Simple as that. Game theory and domino effect. Okay? It's important to keep in mind the domino effect when you're evaluating whether or not to accept an offer. Just because the job isn't open today doesn't mean it won't be available next week. So you can view all, of the current job openings by using all openings filter and coach carousel screen. Don't think just because it's not available this week, it might not be available next week. And you might take some offer you like, and then next week the one you really want, it might have opened up. You know what I'm saying? So in a sense, you can be patient, but you should also be able to see what coaches are on the hot seat and kind of what schools may be looking to do. So, you can make some informed decisions just by going into the game and kind of looking at the coaching carousel and kind of seeing what teams and what teams are doing what and who's hired who. So you obviously know if a team hired a coach from a school that you want to go to, that school has an opening. You know what I'm saying? So, hey, part of the coaching carousel. Managing your staff. As a head coach, you got to manage the staff, like I was saying earlier. You can get fired. Starting board week, you can hire new coordinators if you have an open position. Building your program. The whole main point of Dynasty, you want to build a strong program. Ultimately, we landed on 4 goals. 4 core goals when building your program. Humanize recruits by giving them unique needs and motivations that players have to discover by interacting with the recruit. Differentiate regions of the country by player caliber, quality, and type to authentically capture high school talent based on historical real-world data. Represent the different resources available to schools, ensuring the top schools can blanket the country, while smaller schools will need to be more targeted with their approach. Make the transfer portal feel authentic and unpredictable. Welcome to stage recruiting. Recruiting begins with discovery. In this initial stage, you are finding which prospects to target, what their skills are, and what they care about most. This stage is all about uncovering information about the recruit as quickly as possible. The sooner you discover how well they align with their program, the better, as the time is of the essence. Once the recruit announces their top 5 school, it's time to pitch. During the pitch phase, you are selling the recruit on your program and what you have to offer. How well your school aligns with their motivations will determine how successful you are. The final stage is to close. This is when you bring the recruit in for an official visit and attempt to leave a lasting impression about your program. If the visit goes well, you will make huge gains with the recruit and possibly secure a verbal commitment following the visit. Ultimately, the recruit will make their final decision on National Signing Day. Before we dive deeper into each of these, let's start by discussing how every program and recruit is unique. This leads us to the My School segment. And this is going to focus more towards the recruits as well. So you make sure you're doing what you need to do so you can actually get the recruits. Here's some of the big things. We got playing time, playing style. Are you a championship contender? What's the program tradition? How's the campus lifestyle? Is it fun? Is it lit over there? What schools, what kind of academics you got? Stadium atmosphere. How's it on Saturdays out there? Pro potential. What's my chances of going to the NFL? Brand exposure. Academic prestige. Conference prestige. Coach prestige. Coach stability. Are you going to be here for 4 years? You recruit me. Are you going to stay around? Athletic facilities. How are the workout, the gym facilities around here? How close we are to home? These are some of the factors that you need to consider when you're recruiting. You know what I mean? So, very quick and brief update on how you can get you some recruits, but those are the main key points that you're going to want to consider, and that when you look at your recruits, you will see how important they are, so you can align, try to align some of those interests for them. Now, keep in mind, if you're not meeting some of these standards when they get there, they can hit the transfer portal and leave on you. So that's very, very serious, so you can know. As you can see here, You can see all your grades and detailed information about them in My School screen, which can be accessed in the Recruiting Hub. This screen allows you to assess your school's current strengths and weaknesses, and how you can improve each grade to become a stronger program. Highlighting a grade will show you the steps you need to take to improve it, where you are currently ranked amongst other teams, as well as players at the risk of transferring because they have a deal breaker. Those deal breakers, attached to that grade. If you break that deal breaker, they hitting that portal and they out of there on you. You know what I'm saying? So be smart. More on deal breakers and why a player would decide to leave later. Okay, so this is the screen here you got for the My School. You kind of see where your school ranks and where they stand at right now in comparison to other schools in these certain categories, and where you need to improve at. Like you can see here, Stanford Cardinal, C- championship contender. If you want to win a championship, you might not want to go there. I'm not saying you might not find the right player. That might be the player, that brings him over the edge. But C- ain't gonna get it done if you really want to win a championship. You'd go to another school. Each week, the game will surface this information to you in a weekly summary, allowing you to quickly see the health of your program and any changes. The My School report will show you grades that were positively or negatively impacted by your actions in the last week, as well as any grades that players have who are at risk at transferring if it gets too low. So you can kind of see your players that are at risk. They're at risk of going. You might want to do some stuff to start making them happy, bro. Especially if they're really, really cold. You know what I mean? So check that out. Recruits and where they come from. Each season, more than 3,500 recruits are generated from across the country, just like the real world. Every class is different. Some have a plethora of great quarterback talent, while others have fewer great prospects. Similarly, the quality and quantity of prospects from each region of the country will vary. Certain regions will be more consistent in the caliber, quality, and type of recruits they produce than others. So, in certain parts of the country, you're going to find more athletes. That's just what it is. You know what I'm saying? You might be Texas, might be New York, might be Alabama, might be Florida, might be Georgia, might be Tennessee, might be California. Maybe more so than some of those Midwestern schools where there's less people. That just makes sense. You know what I mean? So, hey, obviously you got to you got to align with what the recruits care about. Could be NIL opportunities like you see there, championship, or going pro, or any of those various factors that you need to consider talking to somebody coming from high school that wants to come to your college. You know what I mean? There's a lot of things, which is one of the cool things that make Dynasty and college football a really good game, because you have to factor in a lot more than just saying a lot of these other professional sports. You know what I mean? Because a lot of them is just money, location, can I win a championship? But here, there's a lot more factors that you need to consider. Recruiting pipelines. First and foremost, it was clear that not every state is created equal when it comes to recruiting talent and pipelines, like I was just talking about. Having a pipeline in Florida is much more valuable than having one in New York. This made clear that the traditional approach of having each state be its own pipeline wouldn't accurately represent the recruiting landscape. One of our goals was to balance pipelines in terms of quality of recruits that come from them. The result was reshaping pipelines to represent geographic regions rather than a state. For example, Florida is now broken into 3 different pipelines: North Florida, Central Florida, and South Florida. Similarly, Metro Atlanta is its own pipeline, whereas New York and New Jersey were combined to become a single pipeline. In total, there are 50 pipelines in college football 25. So that's something to keep in mind when you're going to choose certain programs. You want to be close to a good pipeline. Personally, if it was me, you know what I mean? Like I might go to Florida. Round up them Florida boys up there. You might go to FSU. You might go to Miami. You know what I'm saying? You can do what you want to do. I mean, it's your game. But I'm just saying, if you want to be close to a strong pipeline, you might want to go to a college in one of these places. If you want to make the experience more difficult and grind your way from the top, go somewhere smaller. Simple as that. Initial interest in top schools. You know what I'm saying? Once recruiting starts, recruits will narrow down their top schools over time, going from open to top 8 to top 5 to top 3, and then ultimately commit. Your job is to stay above the cut line each week. Great recruiters recognize losing battles and pivot their resources to a different prospect with more promise of commitment. After advancing the week, you will be shown a recruiting summary of changes in recruit status, so you can quickly identify where you need to spend your time that next week. So that seems very good. That's a cool feature to have as well. So you can actually, have the experience of knowing where you stand at with recruits on a week by week basis, knowing like, okay, hey, if this guy looks like he might be out of his top 5, he might be top 6, but not top 5. So okay, it's not looking too good for us. Let's back up off this guy. Let's focus on this guy who has a bit more. He might not be as good. He might not be as cold. Maybe a whole star less. But hey, we can focus on this guy and he's going to come to us more likely. Then let's just focus on that guy instead. We know that we don't have a very good chance of getting him. Now, we got to see how that works, of course, obviously, because maybe you can move your way up into the top 5 or top 3 or become that one that he signs with. But, only time will tell. So we got all the stages to being discovered. So you need to discover what kind of player that they is, what kind of players that they are, what kind of abilities they have, all that type of stuff. Okay, I just heard about this player. Let me go see what he's about. So when viewing a recruit in the prospect list, you will be able to see the bio information about the recruit, as well as recruiting information like whether or not they have a deal breaker, if they satisfy a team need, how interested they are in their school, their recruiting stage, and how many scholarship offers they have. Once you find a recruit you're interested in, you can go ahead and add them to your board by pressing X or A, depending on what console you're on. Keep in mind that you only have 35 prospects on your recruiting board given at a time. So that's good to know there. Your team needs, so you have a board focusing on what your team needs. So that'll help you be able to focus on the recruiting the players that, hey, we need a quarterback. Let's go try to find us a quarterback. What's most important? Let's put that at the top of our list. Need a running back. Let's go get it focused on running back. Now, obviously, your team needs are going to be based on the ratings that you have right there. So for this example, looks like they need they need some wide receivers. They need a left, wide receiver, some tackles, and a line. And quarterback and running back is good. I mean, fullback, it's college football. I'm not really sure how many fullbacks you're using, and they use in college, depending on their program. But me personally, I probably won't have a fullback. That wouldn't matter as much to me. So you probably be all right with a C- fullback, unless he's just a dog. You know what I'm saying? If he's a dog, then hey, Peyton Hillis. Recruiting hours are your currency to spend on recruiting actions and scouting each week. The amount of recruiting hours depends on your team's prestige and what part of the season you are in. Teams with the higher team prestige will have more recruiting hours each week. This is meant to model the recruiting resources a program has, with higher tier programs having significantly more resources available to them. For example, in the preseason, 5-star programs will have 1,000 recruiting hours compared to only 350 hours for 1-star programs. Recruiting board. The recruiting board is where you will spend the bulk of your time in recruiting. The general layout of the board will be familiar to many. On the left, there is a list of all the recruits who are currently on your board. Each recruit shows high-level information about their status, including how many hours you've allocated to them, how much you've scouted them, if you offered a scholarship, if you scheduled a visit, their stage, and their level of interest at your school. So the recruiting board is where you will be able to see the interest and how many steps you've taken to get this recruit to come to your school, and what else you need to do maybe to get this player to come to your school. So, obviously, in college football, recruiting is a big deal, and they have a very detailed way of expressing what you need to do to get certain recruits, and how you should focus your time and your resources based on the tier of your school, based on the interest of the player, and based on the needs of your team and program. Scouting. Before you start offering scholarships and dedicating your limited recruiting hours and resources to prospects, it's important to make sure that you're targeting the right ones for your program, like what I just said. So good thing they have a good scouting metric that you can look at. During the preseason, you are only able to scout and offer scholarships. So it's a great time to scout players and ensure that you're targeting the right prospects. In College Football 25, we are introducing a new scouting system designed to represent the ambiguity and progressive discovery of a high school player skills. So that's fire, So hopefully you got a good scouts over there that's over there finding you some diamonds in the rough, especially for my smaller schools out there, because they are out there. Prior to scouting a player, you will only be able to see their start rating, height, weight, hometown, position, and archetype. You will see question marks on the attributes, abilities, and development trait. The attributes represent the top 10 ratings for their archetype. Each attribute has 4 states of scouting: unscouted, partially scouted, mostly scouted, fully scouted. When a rating is fully scouted, you know exactly how good the prospect is, and their attribute rating is revealed. So that's good to know right there. Finding the ideal pitch. Once you've determined a prospect meets your initial criteria, it's time to begin uncovering intel about their motivations and what they care about. Remember, every prospect has 3 motivations that they care about, which compromise their ideal pitch. Your goal is to discover their ideal pitch as quickly as possible, so that you know if their motivations align with their program, and so that you have the information you need when you begin pitching in stage 2. The 5 recruiting actions are as follows: offer a scholarship, search social media, DM the player, contact friends and family, send the house. So those are your recruiting pitches that you'll have to try to bring these prospects in and get their attention and get their interest. As you uncover their motivations, they will no longer display a question mark. If the motivation displays a red X, the recruit does not care about it. If it displays a green check mark, this is one of the 3 motivations they care about. With this added depth of recruiting, we want to make sure that the recruiting did not become a monotonous chore that took a significant amount of your time each week. With this in mind, every recruiting action is set and forget it, meaning they will stay week over week until the recruiter either locks you out, commits, or decides to change your recruiting actions. All right, so that doesn't seem too bad. I know It sounds like a lot of work, man. Recruiting, getting these players to want to come, trying to sign them, trying to develop, trying to scout, trying to get talent. It's a lot of stuff you got to do out here. There's all these stages of getting these players. Stage 2, pitch. So you got the soft sell, awards a moderate amount of influence when choosing the correct pitch. It also limits the downside risk and penalty pitching the prospect on something they do not care about. This is the best for when you have some idea of what the recruit is motivated by. Hard sell. This provides the most influence when choosing the correct pitch, but also comes with the largest penalty if you pitch the wrong thing. It is best to hard sell the recruit when you know their ideal pitch, or if you're desperate and just hoping for the best. All right, so obviously, you want to pitch them on what you want to bring to the school. Soft sell, less risk, less reward. Hard sell, more risk, more reward. And if you got your last chance, to maybe get this recruit and on board with you, maybe you do the hard sell out there, you know what I'm saying? But it looks like with all of the initial investigating of the player, learning their motivations, you'll be able to know when you have a hard sell available or when you should use that. So you see those abilities right there. Hard sell, soft sell. Awards the most influence when choosing the correct pitch. So if you got somebody you really want, scout them well, recruit them well, give them a hard sell. It's simple to me. Stage 3, close. The final step in the recruiting journey is to close. This is when you bring the prospect in for an official visit and attempt to leave a lasting impression. I look forward to seeing how are we going to actually bring them in for a visit, or is it going to be like a simulated experience? That'd be very cool to see. But I'm pretty sure, I would think it would be more of you bring them in, maybe they simulate it, maybe it went well. But if you got an actual it's a football game, so I'm not expecting it to be an open world, hey, you walking them through, but maybe you get a little cutscene or something. I don't know, something cool like that. In order to schedule a visit with the prospect, they must be down to the top 5 schools, and you need to have offered them a scholarship. No recruits wants to take time to visit somewhere they won't even give a scholarship offer. A visit is broken down into 2 main parts: scheduling and activity. Timing is everything when it comes to scheduling a visit. Waiting to bring the recruit in for a big-time rivalry game late in the season could have a lot of upside, but it also carries the risk since there's a chance the prospect will commit somewhere else prior to your visit date. Who you play the day of the visit also matters. Every visit during the regular season comes with a set of game day stakes, which determine the influence bonus you will receive with the recruit for winning the game and the potential downside for a loss. The stakes are set by the importance and visibility of the game the prospect will attend. Let's be honest, no one wants to go to a game in a weak environment. Playing a lower tier opponent will provide very little upside and a major downside if you lose. Conversely, playing your rival who is a top 5 team will have the potential to leave your rival who is a top 5 team will have the potential to leave a lasting impression. Of course, you can avoid any risk entirely by scheduling during a bye week, but then you get no game related bonuses at all. So scheduling matters. Schedule it during a big game if you want to leave an impression, and make sure you win the game. If you lose the game, you're going to lose interest. This is, very thoughtful stuff. If you want to be a good dynasty coach and build a very good program, things that you have to consider. While you should feel good about securing a verbal commitment, it is critical to stay on top of things until they sign their letter of intent on signing day. If a prospect is verbally committed and they have a deal breaker, they will decommit from your school if you fall below the required grade threshold prior to signing day. Once a player has signed on signing day, you have nothing to worry about until they arrive on campus, and your next challenge is keeping them happy and out of the transfer portal. So not only you out there playing, you managing this team too. Hey coach, I'm sorry, but I've decided to leave. Over the last 3 years, the transfer portal has completely reshaped college football and how you build your roster. While it can be used to quickly upgrade your roster, it can also gut your program if mass of players heads to the exits. I think it's best if you play elsewhere. While players have the opportunity to leave via the transfer portal every season, you will also have the opportunity to make roster changes. Every offseason, you're required to get back down to 85 players on your roster. Unfortunately, that means if you are over the 85-man limit, you'll be forced to encourage some players to transfer and find a new home. Even if you are at or below 85 players on your roster, you can still encourage players to transfer in order to make room for new players the next season. And no, you cannot encourage the brand new freshman you just signed to find a new home the moment he gets on campus. So don't be trying to sign somebody and then you maybe have an opportunity to get somebody else and then try to kick the freshman off. That's not right. It's not right, man. So the transfer portal. So we're pretty much familiar. I know a lot of us are familiar with the transfer portal. But let's just get into some of it. After their new ideal pitch and motivations have been set, transfers will evaluate every school and generate top schools just like a high school prospect does. They will look at their motivations align with each school and adjust for pipelines and proximity to home. Since 4 and 5 star prospects are the highest in demand and they know more concretely what they are looking for, they will only consider 5 schools. If you're not in the top 5, you'll not be able to talk with them. Lower star rated prospects will vary in terms of the number of schools they are considering. Some will be completely open while others have as few as 3 schools as they are considering. Signing day. Just like the real world in college football 25 features both early signing day and national signing day. Early signing day takes place at the start of bowl season after the regular season has been completed. National signing day takes place 7 weeks after the national championship. That's what you need to know. Any recruits who are unsigned after National Signing Day will stick around and become walk-ons in the offseason. With that being said, the days of a player who was actively being recruited, not committing anywhere, and drifting off into the ether are over. No longer will you have to speculate and fantasize what happened to them. Did they fail to get into school because of grades? Did they change of heart because and decide to try archery instead? Was it something you said? Now the team with the highest influence on signing day will get the player as long as they have offered them a scholarship. This was a huge quality of life improvement that we all felt was a must-have, and we are very happy we were able to deliver it. Position changes. Players will be able to change to any other position regardless of their original position. The position change spreadsheet will show you their projected overall at each new position, right, which archetype they would become, where they would rank on the depth chart, and the number of players at the position. Once you confirm their new position, they will receive a new set of physical abilities that are specific to that archetype. The physical abilities and tiers they receive are determined by the new attributes. Mental abilities will not change unless that mental ability does not apply for the new position. So I think that's a very good feature to have as well, being able to change certain athletes' position in college football, because it happens a lot. You know, some DBs can play wide receivers, some receivers might be better as a DB, some corners might be better as safety, some safeties might be better as a corner. You know what I mean? So that's a very good thing to have. And like I said, maybe you have a very athletic quarterback who might be a dog at running back or a dog at wide receiver. And then you may have a solid backup quarterback. Just some thoughts. Player progression. In college football, the offseason is the most impactful time period when it comes to player development. While players get improved throughout the season, the bulk of their progression and development happens in the spring and summer. Every season, we see players who put in the work during the offseason and come back bigger, stronger, faster, and overall a significantly better player. Player progression in college football 25 is no different. Okay, so you got gains. In college football, there are 4 development traits. Normal. These players are the most common. Impact, star, and elite. The best of the best. These players will make the statement the moment they get on campus and have the potential to be an all-time great. So you want them elite players out there. Let's get it. Skill groups. Skill groups can be thought of as players' maximum potential in a particular area. These will vary by player, skill group, position, and archetype. Once a skill group has hit that cap, it can no longer be upgraded unless the coach has the architect archetype, and the limitless or put a ring on the abilities. Limitless provides a chance to increase random skill cap every time the player levels up and put a ring on it. It provides a chance to increase their highest skill cap after winning a conference or national championship. So if you win national championships, basically your players are getting better, especially if you have the archetype. We talked about this in the last EA college football video. We did the deep dive on that. We know they have 4 tiers: bronze, silver, gold, platinum. Physical abilities are determined by a player's archetype, while mentally are position specific. Physical abilities are determined by the player's archetype, while mental abilities are position specific. Impact players. You know you got to have those. Impact players are a quick way for you to easily identify the key players on the other team. Every team will have at least 1 offensive and 1 defensive player who is an impact player. However, unlike the past, there's no limit on the number of impact players the team can have. Explosive offensive with playmakers everywhere might have 5 or 6 players across the board, letting you know straight up they got dogs. So if you got 5 or 6 impact players, like you got dogs out there. Alabama, Georgia, dogs. You see dogs. I see dogs out there right now. You know, I gotta have a lot of elite players, man. Impact players. Managing wear and tear. We already went over that in the last video as well. You know, you can't just be overusing players this year. It matters. They will get hurt. You need to be able to manage certain injuries before they happen. Wear and tear. You need to be able to be mindful of somebody is has a severe injury, or they have a high injury or a slight injury. You need to be considerate of how you're using those players. Make sure they're getting rest. Make sure they're not on the field 100% of the time, every snap. Give them a chance to recover, and lessen their chance of getting a serious injury. Delivering the world of college football. College football is a sport that marches to the beat of its own drum. It's a sport that thrives on chaos created by the lack of conformity. Interesting. A new day in college football. We got the 12-team playoff system this year, so that will be implemented as well. So that'd be cool. That'd be fun to play with, being in the college football playoffs for 12 teams. It's legit. So in our Dynasty mode, we playing against our friends, maybe you ain't got to be a top 4 team no more. You can be a top 12 team, and you have a chance to win a national championship. That's nice. Meet your new neighbor. Speaking of the dawn of a new era, the latest round of conference realignment has dramatically changed the landscape of college football. So, we've seen a lot. I think the Pac-12 had a big change. And I know some new teams came to the SEC, like Texas. And, it's going to be very, very cool to see, man. So, we got a whole new landscape of college football this year, just in time for a new college football game. So, this should be added fun for us. Be your own conference commissioner. If you prefer to reset conferences to previous configuration, push forward a potential to a future. If you prefer to reset conferences to a previous configuration, push forward to a potential future, or just blow everything up and make whatever conference membership you want and adjust the rules to your liking, you have the power to be the Caesar of college football and set things how you like them. So you can customize your own conferences. We talked about that earlier. We mentioned that. Let's talk schedules. You can customize the schedules. Your whole Dynasty experience is going to be customizable, but we definitely want to focus on the gameplay. You know what I'm saying? The aspects of what you could do with the coaching and the players and the archetypes and recruiting. But I know the ability to customize your own schedule and play who you want to play when you want to play them could be a big deal. Because if you customize your schedule in a certain way, in a certain conference, that can help you get recruits and players and build your dynasty up. I'm just thinking about it from a realistic standpoint. So if you take those factors in and you pick a big school or you pick a smaller school, if you pick a smaller school, you put them in a school with a lot of better school teams and you start beating up on those teams, that should help you level up faster. Realistically speaking, thinking, using our logic. So if you create a schedule, you create a conference, and you want to take advantage like that, that'd be nice. That'd be nice. That's smart. That'd be actually smart to do. That's just how I think about it. Like, how can I quickly build up my program? If you want to do it that way, or you can be authentic with it and just grind it up how it is in real life. Kind of how I'm going to go about it. But, hey, something to think about. If you have the ability to customize it how you see fit. Team Builder Online Dynasty. Team Builder is back. You can import up to 16 Team Builders in private online Dynasty. Your commissioner will need to replace the existing FBS school with the Team Builder teams they want to add. When setting up Dynasty, including Team Builder schools is only available at the creation of the league, and they can only be used in private online Dynasty. So make sure your commissioner knows which school you want to use when you're getting the online Dynasty started. To burn a shirt or to not burn a shirt. The challenges in the world of college football have not been limited to off the field. Handling red shirts have also been seen a recent overhaul. And to keep in line with the real world, we've implemented the ability to play in up to 4 games this season and still be eligible to take a red shirt. So that's nice. You can play 4 games with a freshman and keep the red shirt. That's actually pretty good. Earning some hard work. College football loves to celebrate accomplishments, whether it's reclaiming a 100-year-old water jug from a rival like the annual Michigan-Minnesota game. That's interesting. A coach hosting up the SEC Championship trophy in Atlanta in early December, or the most outstanding player in college football striking the iconic pose just 1 week later. College football and awards are synonymous. Rivalry trophies will be on the line, and the winner of each contest takes home both the trophy and the bragging rights for the year. So, hey, that's also good to know. Heisman Trophy watch. Let's see, they got... Okay. Obviously, you see that. Dylan Graybill go crazy. 39 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. Going crazy out there. All right. Records are made to be broken. No career mode would be complete without tracking the player stats in the record book. Career stats track individual player stats for the entirety of the college career. The record book covers players' records on the career and season game level. So, obviously, in most sports games, they have records. And, we gonna smash those records. Let's just be real. We playing Dynasty, we gonna smash a lot of those records, man. Especially touchdowns in the season. We going crazy. My offense, touchdowns, we going stupid. Nothing else to talk about. Play for pride stickers. For certain schools like Ohio State and Florida State, the pride stickers that are applied to an individual player's helmet, of course, of the season are as iconic as any other tradition in college football. Each season, the helmet starts fresh, and over the course of the season, based on players' performance, pride stickers are added to give a visual representation of that player's accomplishments. So what else? No Dynasty deep dive is complete without going through some of the utilities of the mode. Both online and offline Dynasty can go for 30 seasons. Up to 32 users can participate in Dynasty offline or online. Only 1 user per school. The commissioner is in charge of determining the settings You can keep track of everyone's status in the member screen. Commissioner status can be transferred from member screen as well. Commissioners will have the ability to force a win in the event that the game was not able to be completed. And for those of you that like to restart a game after the CPU doesn't go your way, the number of times a game was started is tracked on the scores schedule screens for all to see. So that's good to know that, like, if a game was started more than once, like, hey, why did he play them 2 or 3 times? You know, then you can see that. Post-game speech, congratulations, you made it this far in the blog. Standing at nearly 17,000 words and 85 pages, this blog is a representation of how passionate this team is about the game. So it was a very detailed blog. You know, I will leave a link for it if you want to go through it and read every single word of 17,000 words. But, you know, I did a pretty solid job of covering most of the important stuff and going through, because I know I'm looking forward to playing this when it drops, man. So hopefully, you know, we get more details. I'm going to come up here. I'm going to drop it for you. We're going to go through it, of course. But when the game drops, I'm on that and we grinding. Simple as that, man. We're going to be grinding. We're going to be running it up. And I'm going to be getting some serious W's and handing out some serious L's out here. So y'all be sure to like the video. If you're new, subscribe to the channel. Until next time, man. Dynasty out.